Welcome back, Piers. We've missed you, especially with the predictions that we were talking about. Early kickoff voodoo,
I did say
Newcastle,
that.
Newcastle
That
2.
stunk, didn't it? That stunk from the beginning. Early kick-off away at Newcastle off the back of a couple of bad results.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tough one to
I'm
take, that
skin
was,
written all
wasn't it?
over it.
And you had to win it, right? You had to go there to win it. You haven't won in the last three games. It's
Yeah,
you're slipping
yeah.
away.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think City losing later on in the day maybe gave us a foot back in. I don't know. Um,
You're still five points behind City, seven
Five
behind
points
Liverpool.
behind City, seven behind Liverpool. I said it before. I think Liverpool have had a more favourable start to the season, and City have. I know they're notorious for a slow start, and I know they've still got points on the board, but I think this has been, in terms of performances, one of their slower starts, even by their, that tradition they've got of starting slow and then just going on a run where they don't lose. They've gone behind in quite a few games. Um, Bournemouth obviously no mugs. They done us, didn't they? Although we were down to 10 men. But yeah, look, it was must win, particularly because we are in amongst a pretty tough run. We've got Inter away tomorrow, and then Chelsea away on Sunday, which I'm now really not looking forward to. I mean, what it's become is that Chelsea game is must win. Like that, if we drop any points there, I think it's well and truly over. I don't know. I flip between the two. It's similar to I lose my head if there's a bad decision in the game, and then 24 hours later I get a bit of clarity. When we lost, I thought, yeah, it's done. City dropped points. Liverpool nearly dropped points. I thought,
Yeah.
well, we have got to play both of them still again. I think if we beat Chelsea, they play each other. I think on December 1st. Maybe if that's a draw, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It shortens that
if,
gap a
if,
little bit. I
if you
mean, we
beat
are only
Chelsea,
in
you'll
November.
say if you beat Chelsea, you'll be back on saying it's your year again, like you were two
Probably,
weeks ago. Um,
probably.
but I just really I don't know if it is solely down to Odegaard being injured, but I just think offensively you just don't look any good at all.
George,
No, I
I mean,
agree.
you talk about defensively, and we've touched on it before. Solid back. Actually, they've conceded 11 goals, same as Man
yeah,
United. Same as Man United.
I mean, they said they're going to break
Putting
our
you on
record,
mute.
weren't they? But I don't think any actual fan outside of United, outside of Arsenal, thought that would be the case. Um, but I just think the issues are more going forward. I think they struggle. If Saka was marked out the game, which Lewis Hall did a fantastic job on him,
It is.
actually, he did really well. Um, much better than better defenders, well, bigger name defenders, Robertson, for example, have done against him.
Yeah.
Um, like I just think Trossard. I think he's a squad player. Shouldn't be. I know he shouldn't be as relied on. It's due to Odegaard being injured, but he just. I've never been convinced by him. I know he comes up with the odd goal and the odd important goal,
Yeah,
but
he's
he
got.
isn't a player you
I
want to
think
be relied on.
off the
Yeah,
bench, he's had some
yeah.
amazing
And
cameos. Got some good
Martinelli
goals.
again. He's just Martinelli. I don't know what's up with him. Maybe he's not as good as he showed 2 years ago. Maybe this is just his level.
Yeah, I
But
would say.
I just struggle to see where the goals are going to come from.
Yeah, no. Do you know what? I do agree, and I don't think if you want to go and win a title, you can't have one playmaker injured and it derails your whole season. I mean, you know, Liverpool will have periods without Mo Salah, and City have periods without De
De
Bruyne.
Bruyne, like he's always out.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got to find a way. I mean, I think when Odegaard was first out, we did find a way. We had some massive results. We went away to Spurs and won. We went away to Villa and won, where we lost last season. We were within a kick of beating City with 10 men without Odegaard. So I don't know what's happened recently. I mean, if you think back to last
But all
season.
the goals were set pieces. Loads of the goals were coming from
Yeah,
set
yeah,
pieces,
but
and that's
fine.
dried
But
up a bit.
you win a game by a hook or crook, right? It's all about points on the board and
You do,
adjusting.
but you
And
also need to create chances. Like
yeah, for
outside
sure.
of the set pieces, I think that's where the issue is. You're not creating
But
enough
look,
chances.
we still had periods in those games where we created chances. I think again we're all guilty of it. You have short term memory in football. Like we've had moments and games where we've looked really slick going forward and looked like
Mm.
Arsenal of last season. I don't know what's going on with us at the minute. it reminds me a bit of last season. We had a period like this a little bit later on, maybe a month or so later, around the Christmas period, where we couldn't buy a win. We lost to West Ham, we lost to Villa, we lost to Fulham in fairly quick succession. And then we had a Dubai winter break, and then we went 6 months without losing. We were pumping everyone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's tough because we haven't got a break. The games are coming thick and fast, and they're all really, really tough, big games. But yeah, I mean, I, I think I convinced myself looking back that the summer recruitment was enough to push on, and maybe it was a bit naive from Arteta and Adu to think that we were almost a finished article because we got quite lucky last season with injuries, and maybe the additions of Marino, who a little bit of a slow start, but starting to look like he could be a player for us. But him, Calafiori, and Sterling, I don't know if that necessarily takes you up a level or maybe just keeps you as you are. And a lot of other teams have improved. We've had a couple of injuries. So I'm not saying we've regressed, but I feel like we haven't maybe pushed on and we're a little bit out of ideas at the moment. So yeah, look, let's hope we can.
And I want to
I
probably
think you're
ask,
just short of a.
if you lose
I-
against Chelsea, right, and the other teams win,
If we
Liverpool
lose against
10th.
Chelsea, we're in a battle for top four. I think if we beat Chelsea, and look, like I say, City have had their vulnerable moments, and I don't think Liverpool are perfect. We've still got to play both of them. I think if we beat Chelsea and we look back to what Odegaard's going to be back by all accounts in the next week or so. If we put a run together now, by Christmas it could be a totally different story. You got to remember we were fifth, I think, on New Year's Day last season. And then we took City to the last game of the season. So like it's early doors. I don't want to write it off, but
Yeah.
we're in a bit of a we're not playing that well at the moment. We don't look good going forward, and Chelsea is must win. If we drop any points, we're in a battle for top four.
The danger is, like last season, you leave yourself too much to do, right? That's fundamental.
That's very true. Yeah.
I just think you're a number 9, old-fashioned number 9 goal scorer away from being.
No, Havertz is enough. Havertz is enough.
Listen. I still think Havertz is top draw. I mean, to be honest, the problem would more be the other options. Like Jesus can't hit a barn door. He scored in the League Cup. That was his first goal since I think January. If you had
I'm not picking on Havertz.
If you had Isak and Havertz as your two options up front.
Yeah, but then Isak would start and Havertz wouldn't even play. So it's
probably playing midfield. I don't know. I think Havertz is a very, very useful player for us, and he plays multiple roles. He does the dog work. I really like him. I think you're not going to change my mind.
Isn't that the problem? He plays multiple roles. He shouldn't be playing multiple roles.
And that's through injuries or whatever happens. Put Partey right back, like against Newcastle, he seemed to be playing a little bit out on the right, and you just think. Just stay up top. That's where you're winning balls and bringing people into the game. And
you should take Xerxes. I think you should take Xerxes off United. He's a forward.
Oh mate, I saw him go through one-on-one yesterday. Pony.
Did you my dad, 85, could have run past him. He's got dodgy knees. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. It was like woeful. But yeah,
I'll probably move on from Arsenal here. But there was a point where. Obviously, Man City were losing 1-0. Liverpool were losing 1-0 to Brighton, and there should have been more goals down.
More behind, yeah.
Great weekend for Liverpool.
It was giving Arsenal a lifeline to go. We've lost. Potentially, the other two could lose now. Yeah, Man City lost, and Liverpool dug deep, won, and a great weekend for Liverpool. And also, then you've got the big game, Man U Chelsea.
Oh, I mean, it's one of the most boring games I've seen.
Yeah, it was disappointing, wasn't it? I was looking forward to that as well.
It is.
We just can't. I don't know what it is. We just cannot play at Old Trafford for some reason. We turn up and just turn into a shell of ourselves.
I didn't realise it's been 10 years since you.
Yeah, it is mental. 2013.
You haven't won there in 10 years.
2013 was the last time we won there. Yeah, it's mad. We just cannot play there. As soon as the manager changed, I was like, well, there's our chance for a win gone. Which is why ultimately, I'm not that sad with a draw, especially given how we played. I think we probably controlled the game more, but then United had some pretty good chances. Don't know. I think a draw is a fair result in reflection. I can't come out of that game disappointed with a draw, that's for sure, because we didn't deserve to win. We didn't do enough to win.
As usual, I can't be disappointed with the way United plays because that's how they play. They're
At least they were fighting for once. Of course, they fucking were against Chelsea. At
yeah,
least they looked like they were up for it.
but I mean, Gary Neville, I reckon he's watching because he stole my line that they look like they haven't trained together, right? And it's the same old thing. The only guy I thought was really good was Mazraoui. I actually think he's a decent signing. He's a good signing so far.
Yeah.
And he was all right. I thought the back two were okay, minus the sending off that should have been. I'm not even going to argue.
Martinez, mate.
He's a right prick.
We get slated for having ill discipline. He should have had 2 straight reds this season, and for some reason he's got away with it. Like that.
How's he got away? How's he got knee-high challenge?
And that one against Palace the other day was probably
where he jumped in with 2 feet.
Two-footed off the ground, like lunged, like for no reason, going nowhere.
He's got a bit of a Rojo about him. I don't know if you guys remember Rojo.
Yeah.
And
I think he's a bit of a prick, to be honest.
You're going to end up injuring players, and it's totally unnecessary. Like that is little man syndrome. Like
yeah.
I mean,
that's why Cully likes it.
Cully's going there.
I'm taller. Now, there was absolutely no reason for that to happen. There was a funny moment. I mean, I always stick up for him, but there was a funny moment, like the ball bounced and he jumped for it and it went over his head. And like any other player, it doesn't matter. But I was like, oh, bless him. If he was like another inch.
I thought he had a good game though, other than that.
No, him and De Ligt. I think De Ligt blocked a few shots and I thought they were all right. I don't think they did bad. Mazraoui was decent. So, but again, like we're just useless going up forward, and like we've got 9
took
goals.
A penalty.
There's moments where Chelsea played through your midfield really well, but like 3 or 4 passes. But apart from that, neither team could string more than 1 or 2
for
most of the game.
It was weird.
I've said this so weird last season and this season. Count United's passes; they can't manage more than 3 passes, and they'll lose it. Right? They just can't do it. It's ridiculous. And we're just shocking at the moment. The best, it says something when the highlight of the game is watching Rude celebrate like it was the old days. Like that's the highlight. That's what,
I think you celebrated more than he did.
Also don't celebrate like that for a penalty. Like, come on,
man.
You celebrate like someone just pinged one out of the blue from 30 yards.
It was a last minute winner of Champions League final or something.
Do you remember Rude when he anytime he scored, he's like that. He was the type of player that if we won 5-0, he didn't score, he'd have a face on, right? So
but he didn't score
from him, but.
He should have done jumping around like that when Keown was jumping in his face, but he didn't, did he? Bottled it.
What do you think he'll stay? Do you think Rude will stay?
No, I don't. I mean,
he wants to.
I've learned from this. I'd like to and be loyal and all that stuff. It's up to the new guy, right? If he's got a role for him, he's got a role for him. But let's not forget everything that was bad at United. This season, I know it's only short time, he's part of it. The fact that we've only scored 9 goals now, 8 before this game, he's part of that. So you could tell by his post-game comments, he's angling to stay there. If the new guy says he wants to keep him, I won't be unhappy. But if this guy's coming with his ideas, United have paid for him to bring his team, and him and his team are successful, why mess around with it? Like you're buying.
Get rid of him.
You're bringing the new guy in to make his decisions. So let it all totally be on him. Don't influence it.
And he's a number 1, really, isn't he? I mean, he was number 1 in Netherlands. Was it PSV? Was that, wasn't it? Or, was it PSV? Was that?
Yes.
So I think ultimately that's what you want to go and do. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe thought, look, maybe I could get 10 Hag goes, maybe I'll be given the chance as an interim for a longer term, and then I'll be able to get myself the first team role here. And it's not worked out like that. They obviously had it lined up. But maybe that's more what he was after. But he's done an all right job. I mean, you got the players up for it yesterday. I know it was a rubbish game, but if you think a couple of weeks ago, you probably would have. You'd have played so much worse than that, I reckon. I know Chelsea didn't play well. It's frustrating because we've got this new game plan. The manager's been implementing it really well. I don't understand where it went when we got to Old Trafford.
I think we bored the crap out of you and you fell into it. So that's our tactic.
maybe.
All the crap, like bring you down to our level. That's
yeah,
all that happened.
yeah. It was like that. It was like that. We did come down to your level.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, what a tactic.
And I know Piers is saying obviously Arsenal Chelsea is a must win, but even for Chelsea, right? They're above you guys in the table at the moment. They'll want to go on and win that and keep that top four momentum, and even
it's a big
definitely,
derby.
yeah.
It's a big derby, isn't it? It's a London derby. Both teams would be well up for it.
Yeah.
Chelsea were good against us at Stamford Bridge last season. We drew 2-2. I don't even remember. Rice.
Yeah,
we went 2-0 down, and Rice scored from outside the box.
Sanchez passed it to him.
Sloppy pass from the keeper, and he a wicked finish. And then I think Trossard crept into the back post. But I mean, look, we need to really fucking have a word of ourselves quickly and sort our shit out, because otherwise we'll probably go there and lose. And if we do,
but it depends. If we turn up and play like we did against United, I think you'll win. You should win. But if we can just get back to how we've been playing, then if you play how you are, I think we've got a really good chance. I think it's going to be a much closer game than the last Chelsea Arsenal one. Hopefully, from my sake of things, anyway, because that was absolutely terrible. But as you say, the Stamford Bridge one was much closer.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but like it's pretty tasty up there because Spurs in seventh can go third, right?
Yeah, it's really tight.
Yeah. Like it's what 3 points between Forest.
Surprisingly up there are not.
Forest are up there. Villa. I know Villa lost to Spurs, but they're still in there. I mean, they got pretty good record, so it's pretty tasty. And if I'm saying Spurs, mathematically, Brighton in eighth can still go third. You know,
that's why I don't want to get sucked into a top four battle with likes of Villa and Tottenham and Chelsea.
There's too many at the party, right?
It's just and like all three of those teams I've just mentioned, they can, if they turn up and have a good game, they can blow teams away, and then they'll lose the next, and then they'll get pumped the next week.
Just more inconsistent
performance and lose 2-0. I don't want to be associated with them teams. I thought Arsenal would fucking moved on from that. Do you know what I mean? But at the minute, that's how we're behaving, which is frustrating.
But that's what a few years ago, what Liverpool and City were really good at, right? Where every other team taking points off each other, Liverpool and City were just getting the points on the board every week.
Yeah.
And it looks like Arsenal are back in that.
I mean, look, to put some perspective on it, we played 9 of the top 10 away, and 7 of those were away from home. So I would say we've had the toughest start of.
Right, is that after the Chelsea game?
No, I think that's now, because we've played City away, Spurs away, Villa away, Newcastle away.
Is it United basically you haven't played?
But we've had a tough start, and we're basically where we were last season. We're down 2 points with a tougher run of games, more injuries than last season. So, we've got a lot more home games.
I just think it's more of a concern how you're playing as well. I just
I do agree. But
good.
Look, it can all change
interesting as well. Just looking, and Liverpool are playing Villa next week, so Villa will want to bounce back.
Liverpool have some tough. Then they've got City in the not too distant future, don't they?
Yeah, 1st of December, I think it is.
Yeah, I don't think City. I can't see them. They got Brighton away next week. City got Brighton away, but I think we're missing the big relegation battle. There's a big game. Man United against Leicester. That's a big game.
That's a must win for United.
It's a 6-pointer, boys. It's a 6-pointer.
Who have Tottenham got?
Tottenham. Let me have a look. Tottenham have got Ipswich at home.
Spurs are a funny team this year because we said it again before the match. They're just so inconsistent. Depends what Spurs turned at. First half, Spurs shocking, 1-0 down. Or was it 1-1 up? 1-0 down. Yeah, looking like they again. It's happening again. Pressure. Yeah, 4-1. And then 4-1 second half. Like they're it's classic Spurs, isn't it? They're just so inconsistent. They are good to watch, though. I will say that when they are playing their free play,
they create a lot of chances.
They do. Yeah,
Ange doesn't see it. I know Maddison came on and scored a good free kick, but he doesn't seem to fancy Maddison, does he?
No, he doesn't. Does he? No, he's dropped him out. Playing Kulizeski in that more central role.
Even Son. I think Son's gone a bit quiet.
I think he's
back.
Yeah, but Son's one of those, right? He's been doing it for so many years. Like it's just expected of him.
Yeah.
I think with him, I will say he's entitled to a bad spell.
Well,
he's always been a bit
it's
of
not
a
a bad
patch
spell,
player
is it?
as
It's
well.
just not. He's
Yeah,
not what
yeah.
he was. I think he's 32. Like, I don't think he's going to recapture that form when he was with
I mean, he
Harry
was a
Kane
cracking
and
player.
banging goals in.
Yeah, he was a cracking player, but
Yeah.
it's like, that's why I think, and I hate to say this, Salah doesn't get the credit that he goes through dry spells during the season. But the man keeps turning up, right?
He did nothing all game and then whips out a banger to win.
Yeah,
he
only needs one chance, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's an output machine, and you can't knock it. Like I sometimes criticize his all-round game. I think he doesn't get involved in the game enough. But if you're going to score the winning goal or the equaliser against Arsenal last week, then I mean you can't criticize that too much.
No.
But that's the thing, right? That's the way the game's gone. Like every position now, it's a specialist in that position, whereas before you'd have overlaps with the players that contribute to other parts of the game. Now you're a specialist. Like Haaland's a perfect example, right? If he's not scoring, he's actually a detriment to the team.
Yeah,
if he's not scoring, it's like playing with 10 men. But but now we've got specialists in absolutely every. I mean, it started with bloody what's his name, Makaleli, who was amazing at it.
I know what you mean. It's like they've been
before him. You had box to box, didn't you? You had box to box players.
Well,
like United had
Haaland was made in a lab, wasn't he, to be a striker? Like he's so
he was to be a goal scorer. Yeah,
it's almost like Saka as well. They're so overcoached. Like Saka he is just that square of that end of the pitch. You are a specialist there, and that's what you do.
It's true, isn't it?
It's rigid.
You don't have these players who. It's like what you said about. It's like what you said about Palmer last week. You don't have players that roam around and will get involved all over the place. Like he's one of the few that is given that license. Yeah. And there aren't many players due to the game being just so percentage based, having control of it and having specific routines of how you pass, where you're going to be at X time, and who's going to be on the end of things. You do need the specialists in those areas, and as it is a bit to the detriment of football. I think sometimes you don't have the players anymore, do you?
Yeah. But I just want to say, I think I've won off the pitch bingo because I had Piers to mention Saka and George to bring up Palmer and all of us to cuss Haaland. So yeah.
And I guess own goal, you to tell us how shit Man United are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's...
on that note.